Hello and welcome to part 2 of our urban square foot garden video. Last time I showed you how to build these beds, but for this episode we're going to do the fun stuff and get them planted up with lots of lovely vegetable plants. The vegetable garden is outside my back door, so I'm going to concentrate on the stuff that we use every day. We're going to plant lots of fresh aromatic herbs, leafy summer salad crops and some staples like carrot, celery and onion. Now we've already filled the beds with soil, but before I get started I'm just going to add a layer of our seed feed compost for a little extra fertility. The beds can be sown or planted in any way that you like, but today we're going to use one of our square foot garden plans, which is a very easy to understand method for beginners. You can see on our plan that each bed is split into square foot sections, with every square foot containing a fixed number of each crop. Each square is a different colour with the number of vegetables clearly marked so that you can quickly see what you can expect from your growing area. Our square foot garden plans are available on our website and can be ordered in seed or plant packs if you want to sow your own garden or get started quickly with 4-week-old vegetable plants. Right, let's get down to business. Now the first thing we have to do is separate our beds into square foot sections. Now I like to use twine for this job because it's easy to remove if it's getting in the way when I'm working on my beds or when I'm harvesting my crops. I attach the twine by hammering galvanized nails in at 1 foot intervals along the edges of the beds and then run my twine through it to create my planting grid. You can use a brown jute twine for a more natural look. I'm just using this blue stuff today as it's easier to see in the video. In the northern hemisphere, your garden should face south, and we plant tall growing crops like peas and beans along the northerly edge of the bed, and that's to prevent them from shading lower growing crops planted towards the front. Now in my garden, south is that way. It's midday now, so you can see my shadow behind me, and that tells us that that's the direction that the sun is coming from. As you can see here, I've attached tall, oversized posts into the corner of some of my beds, and this is to fix my pea and bean growing mesh. Remember, peas can't climb poles and need lateral as well as vertical support, so a mesh like this is ideal. You'd be surprised how heavy fully grown peas or bean plants are, so I'm making liberal use of my staple gun to securely fix the mesh. Okay, we're going to put in some peas now. Now normally I'd plant this from the other side, but this just works better for camera, so my apologies if I look like I'm in jail here behind the mesh. We're going to put in 6 plants per square foot, and I'm going to put 3 in either side, planted nice and tight to the bottom of the mesh. Okay, we're going to sow this corner section now with carrots. Now, for most of this garden we're using our 4-week-old plug plants, but root crops like carrots or parsnips are an exception, and they're going to need to be sown directly from seed. We can see on the plan that we have 8 squares with 16 plants in each square. Now, I'm just going to show you how to subdivide the squares, and we'll use these sticks just so it's easy to see. Each square foot we're going to break up into 16 squares. So that's 4 across and 4 down. Like that. It doesn't have to be exact. And then in each square we're just going to make a small depression in each one, I suppose about the depth of your fingernail. And we take a pinch of seeds and sprinkle 2 or 3 in each hole. Don't worry if too many go in because we can thin them out later. Planting the rest of the bed is really easy. Just follow the plan of coloured squares and fill them in as you go. We also provide a simple key to show you the planting pattern for each crop. Most vegetable seedlings are planted up to the same level as the compost in the top of the plug, with the exception of lettuce, which we plant a little bit proud, and that's to help avoid stem rot, or most brassica seedlings or members of the cabbage family like this broccoli, where we plant up to the level of the first true leaves. We also supply a full range of natural plant feeds, pest control products and a hand-picked range of the best tools and equipment to turn you into a green-fingered gardening genius. You will notice that some of the larger crops will take up more than 1 square, and this is because they need more room to grow. So this courgette plant, for example, will take up 4 full squares to get a decent sized plant, but this is all clearly marked in the plans. Plants like courgettes, which are heavy feeders, will benefit from a handful of a high nitrogen feed like our seaweed and manure pellet mix, also from our sea feed range. Just mix through the soil around the planting hole. When planting seedlings, make a hole with a dibber or your finger about the same size as the plug and pop the seedling in. firm the soil in around the roots to get a good seal rather than pushing down around the plant. Okay, you've seen me put in a few strawberries here now, and you're probably looking at them thinking that they've seen better days. Well, that's just how they come. These are bare root strawberry plants that we put in the spring. I'm going to give them a bit of a water when I'm finished, and in a couple of days they'll come on. They'll be perfect. When planting a compact garden like this one, I would avoid crops which take up a lot of room like cabbage or potatoes, and concentrate on closer planted crops like these sweet baby turnips. I would also always recommend a selection of herbs which really are the kitchen gardener's secret weapon and punch well above their weight for the space that they take up. Here I'm putting in some fennel, which is great with fish dishes, and then something no cook can ever do without, some freshly picked parsley. I'm going to put some onions in here now. These are onion sets, and it's by far the easiest way to grow onions rather than sowing them from seed. These are immature onions that would have been stopped at the baby stage last year. So we're just going to pop them in now. I'm going to put in 4 per square, and we just gently put them into the soil and just leave the tops sticking out slightly like that. Sticking with onions, and this time spring onions or scallions. I use quite a lot, so I'm planting 4 full squares here, giving me about 120 onions. I sow 5 or 6 in a modular seed tray and plant them out in groups, so when I need them I can pick them by lifting the full bunch. Right. That's it then, we're all planted up, and I suppose it took about an hour or two to complete, so a really pleasant job for a Saturday or a Sunday afternoon. And I know we make these plans ourselves, but it really was simplicity itself, just following the numbers and the coloured squares on the plan. You might think that some of the seedlings don't look too happy in their new home and are a bit wilted and sad. This is normal. Plants can take a day or two to adjust before you see any signs of new growth. If the weather is dry, keep the soil around the plants moist to give them their best chance, and you will soon see them bursting into life. I literally can't wait to come back here in a couple of weeks and show you just how much these plants will have come on. So make sure you join us in part 3 of our Quickcrop urban square foot garden video. And always remember, everything you see in this video, apart from me, are available on our websites, including the bench I'm sitting on, the table, the raised beds, the compost, the plants, everything. All on quickcrop.ie or quickcrop.co.uk. Will fit a certain amount of each crop. So for example, this square here would fit 1 small cabbage, yet the same size can fit 16 carrots. Do you see what I mean about choosing your plants carefully?